Is Retatrutide a steroid? Now, this is a question that came through on the comments, and I appreciate it because many of you look at me and you assume that I'm on steroids, but it's just Retatrutide. All right, joking, but why would people think it's a steroid? Well, we're going to dive into how Retatrutide is not a steroid and what it actually is, but also how it's unique in that it doesn't hit the hormone cycles like a steroid would. Steroids are these anabolic machines that can really allow you to put on a lot of muscle, but they do have some side effects if not done properly. But with Retatrutide, or Retatrutide, however you want me to pronounce it, I don't mind, it's the same molecule, this 39 amino acid sequence, what it does is it does make over your metabolic system so you can build muscle while losing weight, which is so unique. So let's jump in. I'm Regan Archibald. I'm the founder of Ageless Future. We help people look, feel, and perform their best in the shortest amount of time possible without risking your future health. And so if you're ready to take your health to the next level, reach out to my team, go to agelessfuture.com. Okay, so why would people think that Retatrutide is a steroid? Well, one of the unique things about this molecule is its 3 peptide structures. Now remember, peptides are just these amino acid sequences, and they're defined as being fewer than 40 amino acid chains. Retatrutide is roughly 39 amino acid chains. But the interesting thing about this is it's got glucagon. So it's got the GLP, the GIP, and glucagon. And what glucagon does is it fires up the energy expenditure. So you actually, being still, you're going to produce and utilize a lot more energy than you would without this influx of glucagon. So when you add that glucagon molecule, what you're going to see is this turning on of the metabolic engine. And when that engine gets turned on, you're going to be able to build muscle. Now here's the caveat. In the studies, well, especially with some of the early GLP-1s, where you look at semaglutide or semaglutide, which is Ozempic, and then you look at like tirzepatide, like your Mounjaro, your Zepbound, you see that there's inordinate amount of muscle that was lost in these studies. And that was a frustrating part of the evidence. And so people have criticized these GLP-1s as like, oh, you're just losing muscle, they're not permanent. And then Retatrutide comes into the scene, and while it's not available yet, I want you to be prepared because next year, it is going to be available. But what they're finding is that it helps preserve lean muscle. And there's other things you can do to help preserve lean muscle. And by the way, Retatrutide or no drug in the future is going to circumvent a poor lifestyle where you have too much stress, you're exposed to too many infections, too many chemicals, you're not taking care of your body, you're not exercising, you're not eating the right foods. So you can't out-peptide that. But what you can do is you can start getting ready now, and by understanding that you can potentially receive some of the same benefits of muscle building and shredding. So for those of you bodybuilders, you go through these bulking phases and you lean out and you do the cut. Well, these GLP-1s are a game changer. And I've had several of you amazing bodybuilders that come into the practice. And when we get you on these GLP-1s, you notice that, man, the food, when you're in your cut, it makes such an enormous difference. And then you add peptides like tesamorelin or ipamorelin. You start using some of these myostatin inhibitors. Now you notice that you can maintain that muscle and get the physique that you want and get ready for the show. And Retatrutide promises to bundle that together in a very unique way, because when you activate glucagon, the first thing that happens is glucagon turns on this gene called PGC1 alpha. Now, when that gene gets turned on, you get more mitochondrial biogenesis. What does that mean? Well, that just means that the batteries suddenly get charged in your mitochondria. Now they want to promote more new mitochondria to come into the cells. As you age, here's what happens to your mitochondrial density and your mitochondrial activation. Every year, it starts to dwindle. And you've got these epic triggers that we've talked about on other shows here. But these epic triggers, you have the emotional stress that kicks in. Now the mitochondria, that energy pack gets a little bit lower. Now you have the pain signals. Maybe you have some degeneration in your body, your back hurts, you get headaches frequently. now that energy signal in the mitochondria gets blocked again. Now you go down the pathway even more and you have infections. And these infections, it could be Lyme, it could be mold, some kind of parasite, could be some kind of bacterial infection in your gut. Now the energy drops another level, and then you throw in all the chemicals, and these chemicals are everywhere. And these chemicals drop you down yet again. And so the whole structure increases what's called inflammaging. And inflammaging has a direct correlation to a disbalanced blood sugar complex. So your whole metabolic structure gets weakened. Now, if you think of, is Retatrutide or Retatrutide a steroid? Well, it's not. It's a triple agonist. It works on the pathways that help promote this mitochondrial biogenesis. And if you add in like SS31, which is a phenomenal peptide, what SS31 does is it helps repair the conduit. So it's called the electron transport chain. And if you remember the Krebs cycle from biology or the citric acid cycle, what happens is you see this energy expenditure from your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. What happens is now you push all of these electrons into the electron transport chain. For you methylene blue lovers, this is one of the benefits of using methylene blue, is it does promote this electron transport into the ETC. Then there's these structures on the ETC called cytochromes. There's 5 cytochromes, but cardiolipin is the protein that holds it all together. What SS31 does is it binds to cardiolipin, and so you get this nice integrity of that energy transmission. So when you're looking at Retatrutide as, oh, is this a steroid? Well, if you can fix that mitochondrial engine, you're going to have a ton of energy. When you go to the gym, I can tell you SS31 makes a big difference because you push yourself and you recover even faster. Now when Retatrutide's available, now you're going to see that engine just gets lit up. So it's just like the fuse, it's like the ignition that gets fired up in the engine. So you're going to have more energy to push yourself harder in the gym, which is necessary. A lot of people are just like, oh, he takes steroids because he's ripped. But actually, even if you're on steroids, it takes work. I've done testosterone in the past. I use nandrolone, but I've never done the full gear. I don't know. I haven't seen the safety profile, that mechanism where I want to jump in. But for those of you who have used steroids, and from what I hear, it takes work. And so don't discredit it. This is where I love, like there's the Enhanced Olympics coming up. I think it's really cool because I'm very much into these medical upgrades, the things that we can use with medical innovations. But my caveat, the boundary that I set is I don't want to have any risk to my future. I have a goal to live to be like this ridiculous age of 222, and I know I can't get there if I'm potentially threatening my endocrine system with steroids. This is why I'm so excited about Retatrutide, so excited about some of these novel peptides that activate growth hormone, just give me a little pulse of that. They help rebalance my endocrine system, like with kispectin, with gonadorelin. Like there's so many fun things that are going on right now that will allow you to perform your best, to feel your best, to look great, where you don't need to add in some of these steroids that may not have the same safety profile as these peptides do. Now with Retatrutide, you're going to watch my other videos because at the higher dosing, that in the literature, that's where they're finding in the studies that people have pretty intense side effects. And so I just want you to avoid that. So make sure that you work with a licensed physician. You're working with a medical team that understands the nature of peptides and how it relates to your body. Get your blood work ran. I've got a phenomenal team at Ageless Future. We'd love to help you get access to some of these medical innovations so you can look, feel, and perform your best at any age. All you need to do is go to agelessfuture.com and my team will take care of you. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you on the next video.